They stay alive through so much. Like, they insist on surviving through so much. And for me, it's so, I frankly covet it. I long for it. I wish I was like that. Like, I wish that I loved to live. Like, what I'm trying to explain is that I have seen stories of burn victims who, after a horrific car accident, became a quadruple amputee and also lost their faces. Everything just gone. Only enough orifices open for them to be able to breathe and eat. But practically blinded in one eye from a car accident. And when you look at this woman's photo before she got burned in a car wreck, she was so gorgeous. And now she is in a wheelchair and has no feet, no legs, and has no hands, right? And she is out here holding on. I marvel at such witnesses because it makes me see that people love life in a way that I don't. I so don't want to be in this body that I would give up. I would hate. Long story short, I've got a DNR. I have got a do not resuscitate on me. I would not want to be rescued from a car wreck like that. I would not want to live. And I feel like if at all I were to be burned like that all across my face with no hands anymore and no feet, I would be so suicidal that I would have to be put on suicide watch. And yet there are people who not only survive that, but insist on living. They insist on living. And then there's the ones who are always hungry. They just have no food. They have no home to stay. They're in a homeless shelter. Like the homeless for me. Like people, hobos on the street. I marvel at the fact that they don't commit suicide. I literally marvel. The way that humanity so considers life precious. The way that God has built them to love life. They just endure some of the most impossible life situations to a point where I wake up and realize that I have a problem. Because I don't want to live. I'm in so much pain and it's been like that all my life. An inability to fulfill purpose, an inability to work and be fruitful in society makes me want to die. I wanted to die when I was 11. I wanted to die when I was 12. I then wanted to die again when I was 20. And now, for a whole decade, since losing everything, I've wanted to go home. I have asked the Lord to give me cancer. I have asked the Lord to give me a brain aneurysm, a heart attack. I have asked the Lord to put me in a car accident, anything, or make sure that I don't wake up in the morning. I have sought the Lord's face because I am in so much pain all the time that I can't deal. There are people who have such harsh conditions in their lives and are in pain like me all the time, and yet it's literally like a faraway option for them to kill themselves. It's just such a distant thing. It doesn't even occur to them. It doesn't even occur to them that maybe they should end their own lives. My dad was like that. My dad was no saint. Maybe he was at the end of his life, I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is that he wasn't a good man. He was a deadbeat dad and an alcoholic. He was ridiculous. He was a lawyer, and then he lost everything. He squandered it because of his alcoholism, and so he ended up living in like some excruciating poverty. His stats plummeted. He plunged like in the worst way because of his adoration of alcohol. And yet that man, he was not interested in dying. He passed away from prostate cancer. And after being diagnosed, he was so sad. And for me, it's like, dude, first of all, you claim to be a Christian. Just get real tight with Christ. Make sure that you're cool. But soon you're going home. No more poverty. Yeah, you put yourself in this position. You didn't have to end up so poor and so unloved and so much of a burden to everybody. You did that to yourself. But now you no longer have to live on scraps. Rely on family to give you $200 every so often. Take a government stipend of 1,800 rands a month because you're a pensioner and you were a lawyer. You could have been a judge in this country. So to lose all that clout, yeah. And yet when he had prostate cancer, the man was still trying to live towards the very end of his life. When the doctors made it ever clear to him that he was terminal. No, before he was told that he was terminal, he was still trying to take whatever he can. He went to all of these meetings at the hospital to clear his body or whatever, chemo angazi, what my dad went through. But he was unhappy to die. And he was, never mind with being poor and everything, he was also old. My dad was quite old when he died. It happened just a few years ago. So basically at almost 80 years old. And yet he wanted to live. He wanted to live. Oh yeah, guys, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it because it's like, you don't have to commit suicide. You are just gonna go out into eternity, ushered in, without having to self-harm. Because your life sucks. You don't have a proper home to live in. there's no recovering yourself to any kind of semblance of family anymore. You have nothing. I couldn't understand it, and I still don't understand it to this day. There are people who, like my dad, they just live through trash. So because I see that I am rare, because I realize that most people don't think like me, because I see people living in shacks, having to spill water out using buckets, and yet they still push another day. Yeah, okay, so I've communicated to you the whole situation with my dad, right? Had to let the cat out. I hate being distracted. What fish paste. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of people stay alive through a whole chunk of stuff, and it makes me realize that what is this? I have a problem. I have a problem with life appreciation. I have a problem with life sustenance, the desire to be maintained in it. And when I came to Christ, because of understanding that I'm now safe and can go home, I also listen to this, don't understand why Christians just insist on staying here. Okay, how can I explain it? Like when Christians get diagnosed with cancer, or when Christians are faced with just some kind of life-threatening event, why they get so sad. I don't understand it. It's problematic. It's problematic for me to think that way, I know. But I have no understanding, limited understanding as to why any Christian would want to be here any minute longer beyond the date of redemption. I don't understand, unless they're super cool on earth, like super happy. So basically what I'm trying to explain is that I don't understand how persecuted Christians stay alive, except I've stayed alive, okay? Yeah, all different kinds of hardships that can come at you. I don't understand how homeless people stay alive. I don't understand why they don't want to die. I don't get it. And I know that it's problematic for me to not get it. People value life in a way that I don't. And this here has been a problem in me since I was a child. It is a problem. It's been in me since I was a kid, and negligent parenting I attribute to why go le jwalo. When a child is not loved, they don't see the point of holding on to life. This world is about love and about relationships and about being able to foster them. And when you can't, what is the point? But like I said, Christians in the Bible have survived ridiculous things, loneliness, isolations, and whatnot. There are other Christians also across the world that are in presently, as we speak, worse even conditions than I am in. And it literally never would ever cross their minds to commit suicide. It would never ever cross their minds. So the level of desire for suicide that I have in my bones, I recognize as problematic, but perhaps maybe it started because I tried to do it at 11, and it's just been following me ever since. And Satan knows that is my weakness. He knows that is my weakness. He knows. And it is a weakness that belongs to many other people in the world. That's why a lot of people who, many attempted suicides ultimately succeed, right? There's no snatching these people from the precipice but for the miracle of God. Like, the Lord has to be the one to intervene. He has to be the one to stay a person from killing themselves. But one thing that I can confirm about myself is that I'm not a general depressed person. I'm not generally just, I want to die, let me not be here anymore, and everything is very ominous. It tends to be tied to a lack of purpose, an inability to reach anything, to do anything with myself, to move myself in any fashion, and also no support, no love, just a deadness of company and support around. That tends to inspire those conditions. So when I get out of that mold, I tend to want to live like everybody else. If I'm happy, if I fall in love, I would never be a mom that goes and kills herself on her children just because one day I feel like I got depressed. I would have to be facing things like homelessness. I would have to have such severe conditions of inability to take care of myself that I feel as if I'm going to take myself out. So Satan, knowing what it is that triggers this problematic way of thinking in me, in that I don't understand why anybody at all with a life-threatening illness would want medication, that has made the devil try to take me out by suicide, because I guess nothing else appears to be giving in this regard. It is my main issue. It is my main temptation. And he has created the perfect conditions around my life that can bring that about. But so too is God aware that this is the kind of stuff that would make me go out like that. And all throughout my life, he has protected me from going out like that. Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated. Other people who are like me end up in hell. They die. They kill themselves because they can't anymore. They can't push. And yet, he prevented me from killing myself over an HIV potential positive test result. He stayed me from killing myself over unemployment, having no job, over my mom's negligence, over Yeah, so many things. And I didn't do it because there was always something that God brought forth a good 5 seconds before I killed myself. It was always an opportune, very quick, speedy, like in a moment of rescue. Whenever I had been so close to the edge that I wanted to go out, I was always given relief from the thing that made me feel like no doors will ever open. Nothing will ever come. Yeah, God has rescued me. Either a voice in my head telling me suicides go to hell prior to me coming to Christ, or like with the story that I'm telling right now, I am Jacob, I have seen it. I am Peter, I have seen it. I am the disciple that recovers even though I nearly fell apart. It was inevitable. I have seen it. All Christians can vouch for this, I would imagine, that there has been a hand, the fingerprint of God all throughout. There's been something that while other people fell apart from it, they stayed intact. 1,000 fell on their side, 10,000 fell on their right hand, and yet it did not come near them. All Christians can attest to this in whatever capacity. With me, it is the tendency towards suicide. Other people, it's alcohol abuse, drug abuse, pornography. You get my point. Whatever might be the thing that is your trick, the main way that Satan can take you out. Yeah. With me, it's suicide. It's suicide, and it's been suicide. Like all throughout my life. An inability to have purpose and no love from family. No appropriate response from people around. Satan saw this and got me targeted. He got me betrayed by friends so that I would have no support when I was down. He got me isolated by the world, given that they tended to prosper to heal me. I told you that my cousin and her boyfriend were my shock absorber. During the time when I was sad, good lady, she and her boyfriend made it that much easier. I was extremely suicidal, but they made it a lot easier. So human comfort, being there for me, has worked to stay me. My one cousin was mean, but then God made the other two, my other cousin and her boyfriend, nice. And that was a shock absorber. God brought that before I was even born again. Go Durban when I wanted to commit suicide. Bathtub, full of water, wanting to drown myself in it. And God tells me, what do you call this? Hell. You're gonna go there, right? Through reminding me of that former friend of mine in high school. The therapist lady tells me, what if you don't make it? I'm like, there's no way, like I have to. And then I get a letter. Like the devil has been trying to kill me, y'all. Like, and my prayer is that this is the last time that God is gonna give him avenue to try and take me out by suicide. Like, let this be the last time. I don't ever want to go through this again. I mean, I feel like it's been 10 years, okay? Like 10 years of this test. When I get out of this, my prayer is that I will never have another event of this nature in my life. That I will never be threatened again with suicide. I have got to never ever be without love. Because you see, it's a factor. It's a combination of things. It's a cocktail of events. It is a cocktail of factors that contribute to me wanting to die. It's never just one thing. It's never just unemployment. It's never just not being able to study. It's never just, a lack of love or a lack of respect or a lack of acknowledgement of my person. It's never just. It is always all of them in one sitting. Like all these factors have to be applying in one sitting to get me to that point. I told you in high school my mom was still negligent, but my teachers loved me. I was popular. I was pretty. The boys were always shellering. So that was enough. The shock absorber was that. Even though my mom's negligence was ridiculous. Thanks to her negligence, however, I dropped the ball in grade 11 on my academia and what have you, but I did not want to die per se. It was when all of these factors were all like in one fell sweep, when they were all just yawning in my ear, that I now wanted to go out. When I had nothing to do with, no one supporting me looking like I'm going nowhere, and the walls closing in on all sides, when all of them were operating at the same time, that's when I wanted to drown myself in a bathtub. When I had no one, when I had nothing, etc. It's always been like that. So yeah, at different portions of my life, I have had mean friends. I've had, a bad rap with my mom. Like I've been kicked out of home, made to quickly get in a new apartment. Yeah, I've had many things happen to me, but they have never happened. It's only been in certain only spots that all of them have come at me at the same time. And Satan knows the cocktail of drugs, if you want to call it that can make me overdose. He knows the cocktail, and God has never ever given him the ability to truly finish me off. But he tried to. When I was that age 20, here it is that I'm waiting to get a job from Liberty Life. That's the one thing that I'm holding on to for dear life. If I don't get this, I feel like I can't push anymore. God knows what my linear regression constraint set is. So my mother gets not an email, sorry, but a phone call from my aunt, and my aunt tells me that I have regrettably not been accepted. And then an angel, I believe it was an angel of God, proper, because a thought or an impression just rocked up in my mind to defy what I was being told. I was not saved at the time. Did not know things of the Spirit. Did not know things of being led and what have you. In Christ, I was just lost as lost can get. Like a doornail, I was dead as dead can get. Yet, somehow, I had looked at my mom. Even, I was tempted to initially just cry. But I was like, there's no way. I looked at my mom in the eye. I was like, there is no way. There is no way that Liberty Life rejected me. There's no way that they regret to inform me that I did not make this learnership. It's a lie from the depths of Sheol. There is no way. Guess what happened? Satan tried to take me out. Guess what happened? I told you guys that before they called learnership candidates, to tell them successfully hired or whatever, you can start on the whatever of August. They sent regret letters to them first. And the regret letters were sent in the post. They were sent in the post. So this whole process, remember, it took like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. I'm still waiting. Yeah, in that time, they sent regret letters to those learners that did not make it. In the learnership program that I applied for, there were 3 Karabos. 3. 2 girls and 1 boy. 3 Karabos, right? 2 of us made it. 1 of us didn't. The boy did not make it, right? The 2 girls made it. The boy did not make it. Yeah. And the boy's letter, the boy, let's say his surname was Mokwena and mine is Hlongwane, right? They sent a letter to Karabo Hlongwane at Karabo Hlongwane's address on the Excel spreadsheet, I guess. It was an error. I could say an input error or whatever. Type setup thing. And then instead of sending it to Karabo the boy, that you have been rejected, you have not made it type thing, they send it to Karabo the girl and send it to my aunt's address and said that you haven't made it. Yes, it's Satan. Guys, the devil did that. Like this entity knew that this here, she's mine. Lo muntu lo uzohamba. One of these days, she started at the age of 11. Now she's gonna go. Now she's gonna know that hell is real. And so what the devil did was cause that error inside Liberty Life. They sent a regret letter to Karabo Hlongwane at Karabo Hlongwane's address, and likely the Karabo Mokwena probably didn't even get a regret letter. That guy did not get a regret letter. I would only later learn what happened, what you might call this, once the learnership happened. I discovered that out of the 3 Karabos that interviewed, 2 women made it, 2 girls, and the 1 boy didn't. So I figured that likely that guy probably didn't even get an apology letter, or maybe he called in on some. So what happened? And they were like, sorry, you didn't make it, young man, type establishment thing. Yeah, they sent me a regret letter. They sent me a regret letter instead of that guy. Understand that inevitably I was gonna get a call saying, you're starting, come in, clock in on this particular date. So they would have sent me both a regret letter and a congratulations, you've been accepted. But I would have been dead by then. I would have been dead. They mistakenly sent me a regret letter. There is no way that they would have brought on board the wrong candidate. On the day of registration, they would have asked, where's Karabo? Because the thing is, we were assigned to certain managers who interviewed us in the panel, and they would remember us. So they would probably be like, where's Karabo? Karabo did not come in. Did she reject the offer? We didn't send it to her. What? No, but she made it. So I was going to eventually be told, hey, man, it's a mistake. We want her. She was part, like, my class was, the team, the class, or the batch of learners that were to belong to my particular segment or class, nearly 15, and it was the smallest number because they were experimenting with consultancy, and they were grabbing the brightest kids. And they put us in this one. The other classes had like 45 kids each, or like getting 38 or whatever. We only had 15. We were only 15 of us because they were literally experimenting on creating consultants out of us. There was no way they were gonna miss one. There was literally no way that they were gonna miss one. Okay? They put me in consultancy, and I was not gonna pitch on day 1. They were gonna wonder, but why? And then the administrator lady would have been like, she just didn't embrace the call or whatever, angazi, and it would have been noticeable. But something told me that this is a lie. I told my mom to her face, I was like, nah, there's no way. There is no way. Me, I remember the interview. I remember how things went. I remember how well things went. I remember how much those men and women were so happy with me. And plus, I know myself. Like, let's just say that. And I can speak for myself. I can speak for myself. There is no way I did not make that final hurdle. Like, there is absolutely no way. And my mom was like, Karabo, it is what it is, just deal. I'm like, please just try and find out on my behalf. Like, just try and, can I call them? Can please borrow me money to go and call them so I can confirm. This is the thing. And my mom was like, it's okay. I'll call. Because my mom used to work at Liberty Life. And not only that, my uncle at that stage worked at Liberty Life. So it was like a family business, that company. My uncle at that stage was working for Liberty. My mom used to work there. And it was funny. My uncle didn't even try to hook me up with a job, even though Nasibetako Liberty. I found that job by myself in the workplace. You know, these family members. Anyway, whatever. My uncle used to work for Liberty. And my mom used to work for Liberty and knew some people there. Right? So she called my uncle, who then called us around inside on some leadership program in I have a niece by the name of Karabo Hlongwane. What's the regret letter? Oh, I got confirm, or that's the thing, because wrong. She feels like you are wrong. She feels as if though the regret letter was a mistake. Please just confirm if it is, so that we can just take it back to her, so we can just give a piece that she did not make it, that it was a regret, right? Type setup thing. And within the same day, they came back and they were like, sorry, no, that was a finger error. Essentially a typo, like an Excel spreadsheet issue that I made it. I was basically the first candidate to be told, congratulations, you made it in, because they were not ready yet to tell us. They were not yet making phone calls to let us know that we're going to make it. The other candidates would be called literally maybe like something like 2 weeks to 3 weeks from that date. That's when they were going to call them. But I got my understanding that I was successfully hired early because I got a regret letter. And I cried about it. And inside the company, family members who work there asked, is this true? So this kid can just rest easy because she feels like all devastated. And indeed, it was confirmed that that what it is that were my suspicions were untrue. How long was it gonna take for me to recover? Basically, not recover. Listen, so I get a regret letter. Okay, I contest it. If I did not contest this regret letter, all the other kids who made it would have been called from that date in about 2 weeks. I was gonna be sitting at home for 2 weeks in macabre melancholy with a sense of foreboding encircling me. Particularly busy, that workplace, again and again and again. I was gonna commit suicide. It was enough time, like I said, when a person is extremely suicidal, 6 months might be nothing to most, but it's like 6 years to a heavily suicidal person. 1 day might be nothing to most, but 1 day is like a year to a suicidal person. 30 minutes is like 30 hours to a suicidal person. That's why it is utilized as a form of encouragement to say to suicidal people that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary issue, because just how overwhelmed you are with despair and melancholy and feeling like you want to do it now, like you need to be told that what you're doing is a permanent solution to something very temporary. And indeed, I was in a temporary frenzy. I was misled into thinking that I had lost that opportunity. I believe an angel of God told me contest it. Otherwise, I would have probably pined and my mom was going to come home from work with me dead. And the bathtub or whatever it is that I was going to do to kill myself, make it way. But instead, God's forces told me to have that validated information. And within a day, I found out that, nah, you made it. And then later only did I receive a phone call. I got another phone call. I got another phone call because the person who was calling to let the candidates know that they made it was a different one from the one that confirmed that I made it. So I got a call. It was just a formality. Hi, is this Karabo? Yes, it is Karabo. Hi, Karabo. This is Spanbani from Liberty Life. Congratulations, you made it into the leadership program. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I acted all excited like I did not know, because the person who told me was not supposed to really share the information. It was confidential, and they would have, of course, appeared to be picking sides or whatever. You get my point, like just unprofessional. So I had to pretend like it was news to me when I found out, but I already knew something like 2 to 3 weeks before everybody else found out. So basically, God saved me. God rescued me from suicide by simply giving me news in advance before it came because he knew how much I could take at that stage. He's the one that put the linear regression constraint set around me, saying, Satan, you will go this far and no further. And this constraint set was around me all throughout my life, even before redemption. The devil could not take away the opportunity from Liberty Life. He could not cause that door to be shut. He could not make them not to hire me. He could not manipulate things to take that opportunity. But what he could do is create an optical illusion that I didn't get it. And he did. And it caused me to panic for 5 seconds. But then I contested it and learned quick and furious that I made it. And it saved me. Well, the rest of my days, while waiting to start, were leisurely. I was watching TV happy. I was eating. I was okay. I was sleeping right. I was waking up and sitting down. I was taking walks in the neighborhood, enjoying scenery. Hey, guys, as in, when a person is suicidal, they cannot even see how green a blade of grass is. They cannot see how, like, this top that I'm wearing is like a yellow burnt orange color. It's just gray. They cannot see the sun. Everything. It's like a sense of foreboding. It's so overwhelming. It's like smog in the air. You cannot see anything. The beauty of that neighborhood that my mom was staying in, for the first time, I saw it. I was there for a few weeks at that stage. And for the first time, I was able to see every color. For the first time, I was able to see people and greet them. I lived not far from a university, and I was able to see the students there, people who were my age, basically people that could be my friends. For the first time, for the first time, I saw them. All along, I didn't see that varsity. I didn't see those students. I didn't see anything but the foreboding, gloomy cloud around me. First time, I saw the glory of my bedroom, the house, and I laughed at a show on TV. I waited, and then I went to Johannesburg and started attending. Thank God, the Lord moved my mom to Johannesburg afterwards, so then I did not have to live anymore with my uncle. Now I was living, with my mom, because shortly afterwards she was moved to a branch in Johannesburg of the company that she was working for. So then I was able to move home. Everything fell back into place, like a hand to a glove, and I was in so much happiness. I was in so much peace. I was so happy. I made friends. The learnership started. I made a best friend. Most of my friends were guys. And then I had one bestie, which was a chick. We were tight. It was fun. I was learning. I was happy. And I was never, ever again unemployed from that date. Ever again. Until 10 years ago. Everything that happened was fashioned by God to get me to where it is that I needed to get. And the loss of my career 10 years ago was to test me now that I was a Christian. Now that I am a Christian, I then got sabotaged and lost a career and the same set of conditions that the cocktail basically of disaster that can encircle me to cause me suicide. It commenced in 2014, and ever since then I've been wanting to die. I've been suicidal, but never doing it. And in the beginning, I was so strong against the spirit of death over me. It was hovering because the conditions were alive that always get me there. No love, no respect from family, underestimation of my person. No one is trying to look at me. No one is trying to call me. No job, no purpose, no school, no education. Just a loser sitting at home, losing everything. The same conditions from back then literally are here again. And this time they lasted 10 years. This is 20 times the pain that I've endured. The first time I waited 6 months to get any successful interview at all. This time around, it's been 10 years, so twice the amount of time. The first time I would have died within 6 months. I was not going to make 1 year if nothing gave, because I had no Holy Spirit. This time around with the Holy Spirit, I've been able to push a decade. I would never have been able to be in these conditions for this long without the Holy Spirit. So just the fact that I have survived this near-death experience so far, I mean, I'm still in it. But the fact that I have survived for so long, for as long as I have, evidences the power of God. But you must remember what happened when I was just 20. That happened when I was 20, my 21st birthday. When it happened, I was working and I was happy. My best friend from the learnership was there. It was done at Kutladi, right? Because I was still living No, I still living there at the time. No, yeah, I was definitely still living there at the time because my mom was yet to move to Johannesburg. But I spent my I had a braai for my 21st. I had a braai at my it was my grandmother's house before, but it was then my uncle's house. I had a braai at my uncle's house, and I invited my friends, and I was just so happy. Oh, and I got recovered. To that cousin that gave me grief, I forgave her. But this time around, I had gained a new friend, her sister. So in the beginning, her sister and I, she was always the kid, so I would always used to look at her like, whatever. Tingwana fela hai, okay, yeah, bye-bye. Okay, uswahao. Where's your sister? But then after this event, after this whole thing happened, she and I were now really tight. Like, really, really, really tight. Our relationship was burgeoned by the fact that she was there for me. And her sister, I just looked at her like, when I see you. I never ever, it left such a bad taste in my mouth, this cousin of mine, what she did to me, how disloyal she was to me, that I never really truly recovered. But you know that saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you? Well, it's now shame on her, because she fooled me once, I forgave her. She then did it again. But this time around, because the first time I bounced back, remember I sent her that text message and I said, after I was lamenting about my clothes, that whole story that I told you about the clothing and how she just ransacked my clothes and didn't even iron them, wash them, nothing. And I lamented, I raised that as an issue, and then she called me bitter. And my response to her was, whenever a person is down, the only place that they could go is up. Yeah. I sent her that, right? And I rose, guys. I defied her. Like, I shot up. I caught up and I defied her. I excelled beyond her. And it put a whole bunch of pie on her face because of what happened before. The fact that I told her the only place that a person can go when they're down is up. She taught herself witchcraft later on, and this time around she was like, you will never rise again. You will never rise again, because this time, this time I'm going to use spiritual means to make sure that you're going to try and get an interview at Liberty Life and not get one again. This time around, I'm going to make sure that you're going to try to, rise and get job interviews and continue to grow. This time you're going to think you're going to use your intelligence. This time you're going to think that you're going to speak your way, because you know how you like to say, Karabo, that you can speak for yourself? Yeah, you're going to think that you can speak, but nothing you say is going to do anything. This cousin bewitched everything of me, of my job, my education, my everything. Like, if she could bewitch it, she bewitched it, and she keeps bewitching it. And last night, I had more dreams of her just coming at me, making sure I don't go anywhere. You know how, like I said, I like to say that I can speak for myself. I have a ministry. I'm sharing my heart, and I am trying to monetize this YouTube channel. Is not ever going to happen. It appears this is not going to happen. This situation is not going to suffice. It's not going to give. Do you understand? Yeah. She was among the most prolific saboteurs of my YouTube channel with witchcraft, making sure that nobody watches me. I go nowhere. Why? Because she remembers that I told her during the lowest moment of my life that you're mocking me now, calling me bitter, but the only place that I can go when I'm down is up. This time she has told herself, I have spiritual weapons this time now, Karabo. I have spiritual weapons now. So nothing you do, no interview is gonna give, because me, I can bewitch. Except same way that she found a spiritual way to survive me, I found a spiritual way to survive her. It's just that mine is long-suffering. Mine is patient. Mine is like a fireplace that warms a house instead of a fire that burns it down. Mine takes time, but I also found spiritual means to survive you. It's that basic. I got born again at 26 and a half, and this woman turned to Satan. And she ripped everything from underneath my feet and closed me underneath such a thick blanket that apparently I could never ever come up for air again. Except unlike back in the day when I didn't know Jesus. And so therefore he only let me endure that for 6 months. This time around I know him. And because I know him, he's allowed this to linger for 10 years. But just in the same way that he got me out, Go Liberty Life back then, by giving me that opportunity that opened all of a sudden, he will give me another opportunity. And just in the same way that in the run-up to me going for my final interview at Liberty Life, she was telling me, you're bitter. So too will I get a final interview somewhere, just in the run-up with her saying of me, I'm bitter. I had such horrific nightmares about this cousin. Last night, I was bombarded by just a plethora of spells cast in my direction from that cousin. And this cousin of mine, just like back in the day, my mom has helped anyone that is my enemy get at me throughout my life. It's unfortunate. That's the thing about a mom that doesn't know what she has in a kid. Like, your daughter is uyapasa esikolweni. Your daughter is loved by teachers. Your daughter is popular in school. Your own friends think she's beautiful. Your daughter has ABC, but you don't care. Eventually, God hands a mother over like that to her reprobate mind. If at all teachers in school kept on saying your daughter is a marvel, I really love Karabo. She's one of my favorite students. If your daughter's teachers keep saying that to you in high school, and you still don't see what you got, mama, like proper God is then. Once your daughter soars and does really well in corporate South Africa, keep on getting promoted by bosses over and over and over and over and over again. When your daughter gets to a point where she is successful because the world appreciates her, and despite all that, you still don't get to a point where you're like, hey, I have something amazing in a child. Let me stop being so negligent. God is going to let you then. When she loses a career, treat her the way that you treated her all throughout primary school, high school. Act like you ain't got jack, even though teachers kept on telling you have someone special here for a child. Nurture it. God is just going to leave you to abandon that which is your blessing. A child is a gift from God. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of arrows that are children. And my mom, no idea what kind of an arrow I was in her quiver. No clue. No clue. And she has allowed my cousins to trample me underfoot. She has allowed men to want to ravage my body. She has just sat back, done nothing about a gifted daughter that so much evidence was awarded her. That was her something special, Monoskai Singh. You've got something beautiful here. She got given so much. Like I told you, my teachers were besotted with me, especially in high school. When I was in primary school, I was a little bit lazy, so I had this one teacher in standard 1, Mrs. Byrne. That would be grade 3. Who called my mom for a meeting because I didn't do homework. And she was like, I don't know what to do with your daughter, ma'am, because she is so gifted, but she is lazy. She is so gifted, but she is lazy. I was shocked. I was surprised that Mrs. Byrne said that about me because I thought she hated me. I thought she just didn't like me at all because she was always yelling at me, always being like, she was always giving me grief. And so when she called my mom to school, I was expecting her to just have like basically a field day with my name. Instead, she went and complimented me, but then highlighted all the challenges I had. Here it is that you've got a kid with a whole bunch of potential. There's a reason why she's dropping the ball. There's a reason why she feels no incentive to do anything. But when I got to high school, I became self-motivating. So no longer did Miss Byrne, Tanamount, have to tell my mom, your daughter's really gifted, but she's not pulling her weight. When I got to grade 9 especially, I was like, enough is enough with just gliding by. Enough is enough with 60%. I am actually going to study, and I started to do really well. Honor roll type stuff. Yeah, that's when teachers started to flood to me like smarties. That's when they started to love me. That's when they started to choose me to do all different kinds of things. That's when I started to be leadership material to them. That's when I started to become a teacher's pet. And it was at the point when I was a teacher's pet that my mom ought to have seen that you're messing up. Because this time around, there were no caveats. This time around, there were no terms and conditions fine print. There were no buts and ums and ahs. There was just compliments. Your daughter's amazing, this, that, blah, blah. No but. No. Karabo's gifted, but she's lazy. It was just Karabo's amazing. She got given all that. And then there was corporate South Africa where I grew like a rocket. I just skyrocketed. So I mean, really, people are seeing something in me. Woman, what's going on? Even your own friends think I'm gorgeous. But you don't even think I'm pretty? Yeah. Reprobate mind. But that stuff happens. Gather dust. Fur, peach fuzz, mold. And then allow some incendiary, filthy, licentious, disgusting men to feel like I'll rescue you because your mama don't love you. Yeah. Making her feel even more disgusted because not only am I in Christ, but I've always had a thing about disgusting men. I've never liked them. As a young woman, I was never a slay queen. I was never the kind of chick to be out here rolling these streets with a Butmadresa because he's got money. I don't care if he's got character. I've always dated lowly guys. I've always been that girl. I always chose love, respect, and mutual understanding over material. So my boyfriends were poor. Like I said, too serious. I don't know what it's like to be passenger me in a man's car. Because Grandshap, the last boyfriend that I had, I taught him how to drive. I got a car first. That's how I've always been. I've always respected love and mutual respect and actual camaraderie. Like, girth in relationships to a point where I dated broke dudes. I did. I was prepared to, insofar as they were happy to give me utando. So seeing as I've never been a slave queen, I find men that are encircling my life thinking that they can offer me money in exchange for my future. Disgusting. I get so I by that girl. I've never been her, even before redemption. From back in the day, ever. But they are around me, those who love slave queens. And they think they can just get what they want out of me. and it is the negligence of my mother that has caused them to think that I'm up for grabs. It is the witchcraft of my concerted cousins that has made them think she doesn't have anybody from her family that love her. So I'm gonna try and try and try and try and try with witchcraft until I finally get what I want, because a neglected woman is a wicked man's best price. They just think of us as up for grabs. All these women that have put me in a position to be apparently up for grabs by men have no clue that when your father and your mother forsake you, God will take up your cause. He is the father of the fatherless. He takes care of the widow and the orphan. He takes up the cause of the oppressed. And he heeds the cry of women in the wilderness that are being sought for being ravaged by men. The Lord sees married men in the street hollering at me that despite being told that I'm married, he's like, so am I. God sees that kind of circus around me, and he sees how I feel about it. And because he cares about my sentiment about such things, he's the one that's going to stay them from ever coming into my space. God is the one that's going to protect me from evil men. And God is, of course, going to be the one to protect me from the women who help them to rape other women. I am being harassed. Last night, I had a dream of this menace from America shooting he had a gun in his hands and he was wiping the fingerprints off it after having committed murder. That man has tried to kill me so many times. So many times. He thinks that he thinks I'm Juliet and he is Romeo. He thinks I am Cleopatra and he's Anthony. He thinks that we are star-crossed lovers. He's telling himself that before he will end his own life because he's miserable, I must first die. He is trying to kill me. He keeps doing death rituals over and over again. But of course, because it won't look like it's him, it'll look like I've just been neglected by family and like I killed myself. It would be like shooting a person dead and then wiping fingerprints from a gun. I had a dream of that little rodent wiping a gun of fingerprints after essentially doing what would be the tantamount of kill me. Yeah. I then dream about this heinous cousin doing so many rituals in one, like so many. Guys, how old do I look? The reason I'm asking how old do I look is because in this dream, this cousin of mine, the very same one that betrayed me all those years ago, she was trying to make me look 32. The age in particular that was honed in on in my dream was 32. I don't even know what in the world is going on over there. I literally cannot tell you. I'm 40. I know I look young, but I don't know how young I look. But my cousin was just so beside herself with determination to age me, even if it's ever so slightly, that she literally gunned for the age of 32. Like, it was glaring so much beeping at me in my dream. This age of 32, that when I woke up this morning, I was like, that dream can't be about me because I'm 40. So what 32-year-old woman is being targeted here? I don't know. And the Lord was like, you are the person that they're trying to turn 32. I don't know how young I look, but perhaps maybe I look like I'm in my 20s. I don't know. But this woman was trying to turn me 32. Like 32-ish. Catman. This woman has tried to give me cancer. I've gotten a dream where it is that I was calling her on the phone to break the news to her that I've got some kind of stage of cancer. Can't really tell you what kind of cancer, but I had cancer and I called her to let her know that I've been diagnosed with it. Remember, I told you guys that thanks to all of the sorrow of my soul that I'm enduring, that I have asked God himself to give me anything at all that can end me because I want to die. So here it is that I want to die. And yet God has rejected the petition by a witch for me to get the very cancer that I asked God for. I asked God for cancer, God says no. A witch then insists on sending it to me anyway. I'm still waiting to get cancer, except it's not coming. She's been frustrated. I don't know how many death spells she has done. They haven't worked. And now she's trying to turn me 32. I don't even know why 32 because I'm 40, but it must be because I look young. And I don't know how young I look, but so young that apparently, allegedly, 32 is something they're willing to settle for. Like, I would be delighted to look 32, given that I'm 40. So if I look younger than that, then clearly God has preserved me. Clearly God has preserved me, evidently. But what in the world then is the thing that is threatening me right now? It is the very thing that threatened me back in the day, suicide. There's always only ever been one real threat to my life all throughout my life. I've never been a junkie, a drug addict. I've never been in an abusive relationship. I've never been a bad driver or just a reckless soul, or I've partaken in extreme sports. There's never really been any loss adjustable, true and truly underwritable risk that I had in my life of death at a young age other than suicide. That has always been the thing that could have taken me out early. So here it is that at 40 being gunned for to be 32 overnight. Like, I don't know, like to be rather 32 looking instead of, what does a 32-year-old look like? They all look 24, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it takes a long, like, people look the same age for a long time. Don't you guys agree? So I don't know, I don't know what they're doing. People look the same age for a very, very, very long amount of time. It's hard to see, to tell the difference between a 25-year-old and a 34-year-old sometimes. It's really hard. You can't tell. Some people, when they come out here with their ages on YouTube, I get shocked because they look much younger. A lot of times they tend to look much younger. Because to me, everybody in their 30s kind of looks like they're in their 20s. It's just looking that way to me. Millennials in particular, they're just not aging. Like, I don't know. There are so many, like, there are women in their 40s on YouTube whose channels are dedicated indeed to basically speaking to 40 plus women. Women who are over the age of 40. And I get shocked to see 40 plus in their description box because now I'm thinking this entire time, go to Lomuntu na 27. I have a bad sense of understanding what a person looks like because I'm gauging how old people are. Like, I don't know. They all look 20 something. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, it's just man. Anyway, whatever. Y'all can argue with me or not. You can either agree or not. Don't we all sort of kind of look the same from something from like 27 all the way up until 39? Is that not like a thing? I think it is. I think it is because I see it on social media. I see women in their 40s out here, me guessing that they are 28, and then I get shocked out of my mind that they're 44. Like, I don't know. It's whatever they're eating these days, angazi. But apparently, allegedly, I am supposed to turn 32 soon. Like physically, angazi. What in the world does a 32-year-old look like? They look like a 28-year-old. A 32-year-old totally looks 25. They do. There's actually a woman on the internet recently that put a birthday candle, a hair content creator, because I watch a whole bunch of hair content online for C hair. Yeah, this chick was out here blowing out birthday candles, and her birthday candle cake was 32. And I was shocked because I thought she was still in college. I thought she was like a student in America, but she was 32. So I was like, whoa, this chick is actually not that much younger than me. And yet she looks like she could totally still be in university. So I don't know. Angazi. But long story short, witches, you're living in some strange, weird world where you can defy such things as those. Like, if a person has got genes from her mom and her dad to make her look 21 at 34, then why are you trying to make her 32 looking at 40 when apparently she looks how old at 40? I don't know. And at this point, I really don't care. But what's imperative is that not only are they trying to age me, but they're trying to kill me. They're trying to thwart my ministry. They don't want me to speak. They want me to be maintained in nothingness. They want to surveil me for the rest of my days. They want to ascertain I don't go anywhere. They keep on squashing me into an already squashed space as if though I'm not already squashed. And they are hiding my letter of acceptance. They're hiding my letter of congratulations. You've made the learnership. So they can make me commit suicide before time. I explained this whole chunky thing with this witchcraft from my cousin and this menace from America wiping a gun trying to make me Anthony to Cleopatra to Anthony. I'm explaining it to get to this particular juncture. Not only did I dream about the guy from America and my cousin doing strange stuff and the age of 32 just being really prevalent, I also then dream about a whole chunk of women, including this cousin of mine, regretting proposing marriage to their now husbands, in the sense that they did not so much get down on their knees and propose marriage to them, but they made them marry them by korobela. You know how I'm always complaining that men and their korobela stop. If a woman doesn't want you, it's rape. Leave them alone. Korobela is rape. It's a force. It's just leave. People must choose you. Let them choose you with their faculties intact. Stop dizzying people into entering into marriage, because then you're going to wake up tomorrow and discover that you're not actually truly in love. These things expire. Okay? Yeah, well, in my dream, it was rather now a whole slew, like a chunk, a plethora, like baba ga. If I could use my other hand, I would use it, of women that regret doing that to men, who regret who regret proposing marriage to their boyfriends. It is a form of, they basically went to a sangoma and were like, my boyfriend has been dragging his feet, make him propose to me. And then next thing, the guy who has been indeed dragging his feet, dating her for 7 years, next thing, he's out here buying a ring on some will you marry me. The reason why these women are regretting it is because the way that these men are so unloving, and the way that they're so cold, and the way that they have so broken off, and the way that they no longer want to be in these establishments, it's just caused them to be such unhappy wives that they wish they had just not been greedy, not been selfish, broken up with a boyfriend that was just like twisting them in the wind and dragging them to the mud. What is the word that I am looking for? Stringing them along and just waited for somebody that would immediately be happy to love them organically. They long for organic love because the manufactured kind is just too hard to keep up. You have to just keep on burning a candle or two, going back to a sangoma to reignite it, and when it expires, the husband acts aloof, he is weird, he's cold, he's abusive, he's straight. Basically, their witchcraft is twitching and it's glitching, and now they're looking at women like me, and they are thoroughly trying to bury us in the ground so we can never be an example of gladness and of happiness in marriages that they passed up. I am being killed for a slew of reasons, do you understand? A plethora. Among the reasons I am being killed is because men are selfish. For me to go and marry the man that God has set apart for me, having in and of themselves married other women, got a whole bunch of kids out here in these streets, and also they've the bad rap sheet trying to cause me to be an adulteress, some of whom even are HIV positive, okay? Yeah, but on the other end, I'm also being selfishly hoarded by women who don't want to watch me be happy because I waited on Christ, because they lizard their husbands. They made their men marry them. They made their baby daddies marry them because they did not want to be a baby mama that's not married to the baby daddy. So instead of just realizing you made a mistake, you weren't supposed to fornicate, there's a baby, let's just take care of this baby, but then wait on God to bring you a husband, they just were like, who put a baby in my stomach? You are gonna marry me. Because I don't want to have to struggle to find love, given that I'm a baby mama out there, and these guys are just underestimating us as baby mamas. Yeah, because they didn't want to wait, and because they didn't want to trust God to bring a man that's going to love them with their daughter or their son, they decided that they're going to force their baby daddies to marry them. That is what we're dealing with here. And now they can't stomach testimonies like mine. So I die now. Last time when I was suicidal, it was unabated, it was unaided, it was unsupported by witchcraft. I was just suffering parental neglect. I was just suffering unemployment. I was just suffering whatever it is that a person can suffer back then. Nekesotwa felt like it that year, but there was no witchcraft involved. This time, the combination of unemployment and neglect with witchcraft force attacks that are from here to 20,000 years from now is astronomical. It is just a concoction combination. It's worse than before. But like I said, they got spiritual weapons now, but so too do I have spiritual weapons. I also have spiritual shields. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds. We demolish arguments and every lofty pretension that exalts itself above the Most High. And we hold into captivity every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ. The very weaponry that has been discovered by these people later on in life, that is spiritual, that can cause you to manipulate the outcomes of a person's life. Yeah, I happen to find the cure for it too. I found the opposite of their kingdom. I found Jesus. They found witchcraft. I found Jesus. They found spells. They found a magic wand. I found a Bible. They found fellow saboteurs and members of a coven. I found the body of Christ. They found murky, green, red, orange, purple robes, and I found white robes. I found the sun. I found light. I found heaven. And they found the abyss. They found the darkness. They found hell. And now, as the gates of Hades, they are attempting to prevail against the church. 1 second.